Hello and welcome to cookbookslive.com. I'm Stephen Fries, your host. Recently I had asked for the readers of the New Haven Register who read my food column to send me in heirloom recipes, and I published several of the recipes. Karen Josephson, a local person from the New Haven area, actually sent me this beautiful cookbook that we're going to focus on today. And this cookbook called Seasons of a Family Table by Karen Josephson is actually a cookbook that she compiled because many family members had requested all of the recipes that she prepared over the many years. So, thus, the cookbook that sits in front of us today. The book is about the eating habits of one family in the United States and the social memories that the food evoked for them. The culinary history of the author, her husband, and their 3 children are actually focused in this cookbook. It talks about the recipes that her husband brought to the family, that she brought to the family, and then the latter part, what her children brought to the table as well. It also talks about some of the eating habits of her children. I would like to read a quote. It's a little lengthy quote, but I think it will give you a good idea of how in-depth Karen was in describing food and its relationship to her family. So we're going to go to page 1. And it says, "The season of a family itself influences the kitchen output just as much as the changing seasons of nature. Toddlers and teens require different foods. Newlyweds, soccer parents, and empty nesters do not prepare and eat in the same way. In this cookbook, you will find recipes for everyday family fare, families in a hurry, young and old families, and families in celebration. There are recipes for children's palates and adults-only fare. There are recipes for crowd and an intimate dinner for 2. Included are some simple recipes and some not so simple recipes. Some of the recipes in Chapter 1 are of historic interest. The seasons of our family and its changing patterns of eating as the children grew will be woven together with the seasons of a year and its changing habits of eating. Even though this cookbook chronicles the foods and stories of one family in today's United States, there is no typical family. These recipes and stories are for families of any composition. When there is a connection of the heart, a desire to share a life, or even a series of dining experiences together, there is family. People do not need to be related by blood or marriage. The definition is broad. Whoever gathers around the table for a meal is family. The table is the bonder and the holder of the memories, whether it is a rustic picnic table or a cherry wood Ethan Allen set, a card table or TV trays, a picnic blanket on the grass, or the living room floor. Tables gather people to a shared experience and create, at least for that moment, a family." In the first chapter of the book, Karen shares her inherited recipes, which are those recipes from her mother, her mother-in-law, and her husband's 2 aunts, who actually lived with the family for quite a while. The next chapters cover the recipes of the 4 seasons, and the final chapter reflects what the children's recipes are in their adult lives. What fascinates me about this book is actually the various little stories that permeate throughout the book that give a little history of the recipes, why the recipe was made. So let's take a look at a few. And I would like to first take a look at page 12. Again, there's no pictures here, but I'm going to show you what the inside of the text looks like, and then I'm going to share with you the beginning of the recipe that introduces it to us. This is for a strawberry angel food cake. "This was the birthday cake both my sister and I requested every year. Carla's birthday was in February, and mine in July, so my mother was willing to make it for both of us. The whipped cream frosting would not save, so the cake needed to be consumed during the party, or finished for dinner that evening. Unfortunately, my children have not developed the same love for this cake that I have. They requested other cakes for their birthday. This, however, is still how I define birthdays. An angel food cake mix can be used, but I am including the recipe my mother always used. We were told not to jump around near the oven while it was baking, or it would surely fall. We were very careful. The next one that I'd like to share with you is on page 80. For an oatmeal bread. Again, the story on here is quite humble. The oatmeal bread recipe has been requested more times than I can count. It is by far the easiest bread recipe I have ever tried and has great versatility. Even Walter, a non-bread maker, has tried his hand at this recipe successfully. Variations can be made by using cornmeal instead of oatmeal. Rye or wheat flour can be substituted for all or some of the white flour. Honey, orange marmalade, or brown sugar can be substituted for the molasses. And a cup of raisins or other dried fruits. And a combination of herbs, such as 2 teaspoons of fresh summer savory, 1 tablespoon of fresh parsley, 1 tablespoon of fresh basil, and 1 teaspoon of fresh thyme, or experiment with your own additions and variations. And then the next one that I'd like to share with you is a recipe from page 372. And this one's got quite a bit of history to it. It's for the Goodnight milk. And this is, I guess, Karen's daughter, Anna, was given this as a child growing up. When I was a girl, my parents made sure my sister and I drank at least 4 glasses of milk a day. That's what was recommended in the 50s for strong and healthy bones and teeth. We had a glass on our morning cereal, a glass with our luncheon sandwich, a glass after school, and a glass with dinner. Many nights we had a glass of warm milk before bed, along with a cookie. This recipe of Anna's is the ultimate bedtime milk and seems a perfect end to this anthropological anthology of one family's food habits. Very simple recipe: 4 cups of milk, 1 bag of herbal peppermint tea, 1 tablespoon of fresh grated ginger or 1 teaspoon of dried ginger, and then in a saucepan combine the ingredients and heat on low until hot, stirring frequently, and it yields 4 cups. I want to thank you for watching cookbookslive.com. From the Delia Viking Center of the Northeast, I'm Stephen Fries. Until the next time, bon appetit.